The room feels the same, the light looks the same. Their body feels unchanged. There is no internal signal that something special is happening. They move through the morning on autopilot. The alarm sounds. They get out of bed. They follow the same sequence they always do. Brush teeth, get dressed, prepare breakfast. If they remember it's their birthday, it comes as a neutral fact, not excitement, not dread, information. They don't pause to feel older. They don't pause to reflect. They don't pause to mark the moment. The day does not announce itself to them. They don't feel the need to make plans. They don't feel anticipation building. They don't feel a gap that needs filling. The idea of celebration feels optional, not avoided and not resisted, just unnecessary. They don't remind people. They don't hint. They don't wait for acknowledgement. If someone wishes them well, they receive it kindly. They smile. They say thank you. And then they continue. The interaction doesn't linger. It doesn't open anything. It doesn't change the tone of the day. They don't check messages hoping for attention. They don't count who remembered. They don't measure the day by response. They don't feel disappointed when nothing happens. They don't feel relieved either. It's simply a date. They might work the full day, complete errands, respond to emails. Responsibilities don't pause, neither do they. They don't feel deprived by this. They don't feel stoic. They feel aligned. Cake feels excessive. Gifts feel awkward. Being the center of attention feels unnecessary. They don't dislike joy. They don't dislike people. They just don't experience meaning through ritual. They don't frame life in milestones. They don't organize their identity around anniversaries. They don't attach significance to age increments. Time to them feels continuous. One day leads into the next, not segmented, not punctuated. They don't feel different turning a year older. They don't feel wiser. They don't feel behind. They feel the same person they were yesterday. So the day blends. Morning becomes afternoon. Afternoon becomes evening. The birthday passes quietly. No highlight, no low point, just life continuing. And from the outside, this calm neutrality stands out. Because birthdays are expected to matter. And when someone treats it like a normal day, it quietly contradicts that expectation. From the outside, treating a birthday like a normal day is rarely seen as neutral. It is almost always interpreted. Because birthdays are culturally framed as moments of validation, choosing not to emphasize them is often assumed to signal something emotional beneath the surface. People assume disappointment first, that the person wanted celebration but didn't get it, that they've been let down before and learned not to expect much, that keeping the day small is a form of self-protection. If no plans are made, it's assumed to be avoidance. If no excitement is shown, it's assumed to be suppression. If no acknowledgement is sought, it's assumed to be insecurity. Others interpret it as a lack of self-worth, that the person doesn't believe they deserve attention, that they minimize themselves, that they're uncomfortable being the focus, because birthdays are framed as your day, not claiming it is seen as refusal. So questions appear. Why don't you do anything? Don't you want to celebrate? You should make it special, as if meaning must be marked publicly to exist. There is also the assumption of emotional distance, that the person doesn't like attention, that they don't want closeness, that they don't enjoy shared moments. Their quiet preference is mistaken for withdrawal. Even maturity is sometimes framed dismissively, that they're past that stage, that they've outgrown joy, that they've become serious in an undesirable way. In every case, neutrality is rarely accepted as neutrality. Something must be wrong, because birthdays are treated as checkpoints, moments where reflection, affirmation, and recognition are expected, where others are invited to confirm someone's importance. So when a person doesn't participate in that structure, their choice is given emotional meaning it may not have. Their comfort with the ordinary is mistaken for indifference. Their steadiness is mistaken for numbness. Their lack of emphasis is mistaken for lack of feeling. This misunderstanding often creates subtle social pressure. Pressure to reassure others that they're okay. Pressure to explain why the day doesn't matter to them. Pressure to participate so no one feels uncomfortable. Not because they feel conflicted, but because the surrounding culture does. And over time, this pressure can make a simple preference feel like a deviation, something that needs explanation, something that needs justification, something that needs to be framed in emotional terms. When in reality, the behavior itself is often exactly what it looks like: a person allowing a day to pass, without asking it to carry more meaning than it naturally does. Treating a birthday like a normal day often reflects a person's relationship with continuity rather than occasion. For some people, meaning does not arrive in peaks. It arrives in consistency. Their sense of self is not organized around symbolic dates. It is organized around lived experience. They do not experience life as a series of highlighted moments. They experience it as an unbroken line. So a birthday does not feel like a hinge. It does not divide who they were from who they are. It does not signal arrival or loss. It is simply one more point along a path that already feels intact. This orientation often develops in people who feel internally stable. They do not rely on external markers to confirm identity. They do not need ritual to legitimize existence. They do not depend on collective attention to feel real. Their sense of worth is not activated by recognition. It is already present. For these people, attention can feel neutral or even disruptive, not because they dislike being seen, but because sudden focus creates imbalance. A birthday concentrates attention in a way that feels artificial. It introduces evaluation, comparison, expectation. People ask questions that don't usually need answers. How does this year feel? Are you where you thought you'd be? What does this age mean for you? For someone who does not experience life in milestones, these questions feel imposed rather than natural. They do not think in chapters. They think in accumulation. Life is not something that turns over once a year. It is something that continues quietly, day after day. So celebrating a birthday can feel like interrupting a rhythm that already works. There is also a psychological comfort with non-eventfulness. Some people feel most regulated when nothing stands out, when the day is predictable, when expectations are low, when nothing demands emotional performance. They are not seeking flatness, they are seeking stability. A birthday by design asks for reaction, joy, gratitude, reflection. Even positive emotions require effort when they are expected. For someone who values internal steadiness, that expectation can feel unnecessary. So they opt out, not as rejection, but as alignment. There is also an internal sense of time at play. Some people experience age abstractly. They do not feel older when a number changes. They do not feel different when a year passes. They do not feel defined by chronology. The self they inhabit feels continuous. Yesterday's self and today's self feel the same. Without an internal shift, an external celebration feels symbolic rather than authentic. And symbolism does not motivate them. What motivates them is coherence. They prefer life to feel uninterrupted. They prefer meaning to be diffuse rather than concentrated. They prefer significance that accumulates quietly instead of spiking. This does not mean they lack joy. It means their joy is not ritualized. It is found in routine, in familiarity, in days that do not demand recognition. They may feel content going to bed on their birthday, the same way they do on any other night. Not because the day was empty, but because nothing felt missing. Psychologically, this makes sense. Meaning does not have a universal structure. For some, it is amplified by ceremony. For others, it is preserved by continuity. And treating a birthday like a normal day is often less about minimizing life, and more about refusing to fragment it into moments. That must carry more weight than the person feels inside. You don't need to turn that preference into an explanation that satisfies others. You don't need to justify why the date doesn't feel symbolic. You don't need to compensate for the absence of celebration. You don't need to translate your calm into something more visible. Nothing is missing because you don't mark the day loudly. Nothing is wrong because your sense of self doesn't hinge on anniversaries. Nothing is lacking because you let the day pass without emphasis. Your life does not require punctuation to be meaningful. It is allowed that you experience continuity as grounding. It is allowed that you prefer steadiness over spectacle. It is allowed that meaning lives quietly for you, without ceremony. You are not ungrateful because you don't celebrate. You are not distant because you don't announce the day. You are not minimizing yourself because you don't ask for attention. You don't owe the world a ritual. You don't owe others a milestone. You don't owe yourself a performance of significance. You are allowed to let the day blend into the rest of your life. You are allowed to keep your rhythm uninterrupted. You are allowed to exist without marking time publicly, quietly, without explanation, without ceremony, and nothing about how you live needs to be highlighted to matter.